Welcome to Anime Anatomy, where I analyze anime story form. And today, we'll be taking a look at a concept in storytelling known as the journey plot. So, what is the journey plot, and how is it related to the story of One Piece? Basically, the journey plot is a plot form where the hero encounters a number of opponents in succession. And since the premise of One Piece is a journey to the end of the ocean, naturally, this constrains the plot of One Piece to the journey plot type. However, no matter what the plot type, there are always inherent weaknesses and drawbacks. So let's take a look at some of the pitfalls of the journey plot and how Oda manages to navigate them. Because a journey plot is a type of plot, it needs to feel organic, meaning the events and actions of the story need to be connected together in such a way that they seem like necessary stages that develop on their own accord. So normally, after the hero defeats an opponent on his journey, what should naturally follow is that he undergo some sort of character change. However, in most stories with the journey plot, the hero never undergoes even a slight character change when defeating each of his opponents, and simply beats them and moves on. So each fight with a new opponent becomes a repeat of the same plot beat and feels episodic instead of organic. So that raises the question, how does Luffy, the main character, change after each opponent he defeats? On the surface, it seems like Luffy hasn't undergone any character change since the beginning of the story and remains the same old person he's always been. But character change isn't always about necessarily becoming a different or new person, but rather becoming who you already are in a deeper, more focused way. And with each and every crisis Luffy faces, and each opponent he overcomes, it is in these moments that he eventually becomes who he was always supposed to be. Typically, character development is seen as a character suddenly flipping and becoming an entirely new person. But this isn't necessarily the case. Rather, a character develops when he completes a process that has been occurring throughout the story, becoming who he or she is in a more deeper and focused way. As the hero goes after his goal, his opponents, if they're good opponents, force him to challenge his most deep-seated beliefs. In moments of crisis, he sees what he really believes, decides what he'll act on, and then takes moral action to prove it. To get a better understanding of this, let's see how some of Luffy's opponents challenge his most fundamental beliefs and how he responds to them. So let's take an opponent that I think is very underrated, Captain Kuro. How does Captain Kuro challenge Luffy's most fundamental, deep-seated beliefs? What actions does Luffy take in response? Very early on in the story, Kuro challenges Luffy's basic beliefs about what it means to be a pirate and what it means to be a pirate crew. In Kuro's mind, a pirate crew is just a random group of outlaws, and crew members are just pawns for the captain to use as he wishes, since the crew must sacrifice themselves for the ambitions of the captain. This is the way of pirates. This mindset and philosophy goes against all of Luffy's most deeply held convictions about what a true pirate is supposed to be and what crew members really are. For Luffy, a pirate crew isn't just a random group of outlaws, but a specially hand-picked group of comrades bound together in the pursuit of a common goal. Furthermore, Luffy's crew members are not just pawns, but dear friends for whom he would sacrifice his ambitions for just as easily as they would sacrifice theirs for his. In response, Luffy vows to never be a pirate like Captain Kuro, as he proves it time and time again throughout the story by his actions. As the saying goes, character is action. In this way, Luffy doesn't necessarily become a different person, but just who he's always been, but just in a deeper way. So what are some of the other pitfalls of the journey plot, and how does Oda get around them? As mentioned earlier, since the journey plot is a type of plot, it needs to feel organic. That is, the events and actions of the story need to be connected together in such a way that they seem like necessary stages that develop on their own. For example, oftentimes it's difficult to bring back characters that the hero encounters in the earlier parts of the story in a natural, believable way. And it's very easy for authors to get this wrong, and it ends up feeling convoluted and contrived. So how does Oda organically bring back some of these characters from early on in the story? One way Oda solves this problem is by sending these characters on journeys of their own with the same destination as Luffy. This naturally creates a funnel effect that allows Luffy to bounce off one character after another again and again over the course of the story. In fact, what makes Oda such a genius is that he intentionally designed the geography of his world so that not only does each character literally have to go on their own separate journeys, but also each of them would have to literally funnel to one point eventually, both in Paradise and the New World, forcing them to have to come into contact with each other and interact with each other at some point in the story. A perfect example of this is with the Supernovas, a group of rivals competing with Luffy over supremacy of the future of the seas. Even though they each started out on separate journeys from Luffy, because these characters have the same destination as Luffy, this forces them to eventually have to run into each other over and over again in the story, allowing the Supernovas to organically and believably reappear throughout the story, providing Luffy with the opponents needed to produce the conflict necessary to drive the story. So that's it for the journey plot. It's important to mention that there are many other pitfalls and weaknesses to the journey plot not mentioned here. However, what makes Oda so brilliant is his ability to find creative ways to navigate them by creating a solution baked into the overall design of the story itself. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
I still believe in me.